we are getting the PlayStation 5 Pro, which, unlike the PlayStation 4 Pro before it, will exist to offer an upgraded gaming experience for players who prioritise higher resolutions, improved graphics and performance. Functioning as a beefier console than the standard PS5, this hardware is reportedly set to be arriving in living rooms very soon. In fact, if recent leaks are to be believed, this mysterious system will be arriving as soon as this year. So with all that said, join me today as we delve into everything there is to know about this platform, its specs, where the information is from, and perhaps most importantly, whether buying such a console at this point is even necessary for consumers. I'm Lady Decade, hit that subscribe button because it's time to discuss the PS5 Pro. PlayStation 5 games, they are wonderful, aren't they? Personally, every day I have been spending as much time as I can playing the, in my opinion, brilliant Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, an epic game that continues to surprise me with the way it has reinvented the classic Final Fantasy VII experience. But would it really be any better on a PlayStation 5 Pro? I absolutely love it, and at no point have I sat there and thought, you know what, I wish these load times were quicker, or ooh, I'd better turn down the graphics to make the game run better. I've had everything at top whack and do not feel my gameplay experience has suffered in any way, shape or form. But what I will say is that I have played the older Final Fantasy remake all the way through to finish 3 times by now, including on both the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and the performance on the newer hardware blew me away. Replaying the game on the PlayStation 5 shocked me because it felt so much faster, crisper and more fluid, and unlike the PS4, at no point does my PS5 ever sound like it's going to have a heart attack. But to be honest, no matter what hardware you play the game on, it's amazing and I highly recommend you play it too. In fact, I can help you get it for dirt cheap by introducing you to today's sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming offers gamers the opportunity to purchase games at reduced rates. There are no manufacturing costs on digital games, so shouldn't they be much cheaper? Well, we think so, and fortunately getting CD keys through Instant Gaming saves us significant cash. All the better, Instant Gaming is 100% legit because they get all of their keys directly from the source, offering us authenticity without compromise. Take Final Fantasy VII Remake, for example, a game at the top of my recommendation list. On Instant Gaming is 58% cheaper than usual, purchasable with its combined Yuffie DLC, providing a big saving on a nostalgic yet new experience. So if you want to save some money on video games and of course support my channel as well, click the first link down below. Once there and you've created your account and purchased your game, you'll get your activation key on your account, then go into your preferred platform and download it. It works that simply. Grab these bargains and loads of others by clicking the link in the description. But could this game be any better in the future on a PS5 Pro? Let's try and find out. Earlier this week, InsiderGaming.com confirmed that leaked PlayStation 5 Pro specifications, according to them at least, are indeed real, with them also highlighting that the hardware has a release target of the 2024 holiday season. According to the anonymous sources they claim to have spoken with, they confirmed that leaked documents that had appeared on a YouTube channel known as Moore's Law is Dead are legitimate. On their website, they would go on to highlight that the documentation originally came from a PlayStation developer portal, which has now made its way out to the public after being distributed to third-party developers. Reporting on the PS5 Pro in the past, Insider Gaming has previously outlined that the code name for the hardware was Trinity, and that the system was being developed with the hope of delivering more consistent frames per second at 4K, as well as a performance mode that runs at 8K resolution and more. But far more about this has been revealed about this beast's supposed specs than just that. If, like myself, the PlayStation 5 is one of your primary ways to game, you'll be aware that it already feels as fast as lightning compared to the earlier PS4. I have never had any complaints about speed using the thing, but for those who want something really flash, supposedly rendering on the PS5 Pro is going to be 45% faster than with the original base model. So if that's something you feel you need in your life, You now have that to look forward to. Speaking of the original PS5, it introduced ray tracing to the PlayStation line. Ray tracing is a rendering technique used in computer graphics to simulate the way light interacts with objects in a scene. It works by tracing a path of rays of light as they travel through the scene, interacting with surfaces and ultimately reaching the camera or viewer's eye. This method produces highly realistic images by accurately simulating effects such as reflection, refraction, dispersion and shadows. The process involves casting rays into the scene and simulating how those rays interact with the objects. When a ray intersects with an object, various computations are performed to determine how the light interacts with the surface, whether it's absorbed, reflected or refracted, and then additional rays may be traced based on those interactions. This process continues recursively until a final colour is determined for each pixel in the image. Ray tracing can produce highly realistic images because it accurately simulates the physical behaviour of light, which likely raises the question to you, how can this be improved on with a PS5 Pro? Well, while the PlayStation 5 boasts impressive ray tracing capabilities, there are still limitations inherent in its implementation. One significant constraint is the compromise between graphical fidelity and performance. Ray tracing demands substantial computational resources, potentially impacting frame rates and resolution. Consequently, developers may need to make trade-offs to maintain playable performance levels, such as reducing the complexity or scale of ray traced effects. Additionally, the extent and sophistication of ray tracing effects may vary across different games due to optimization challenges and development priorities. Ray tracing is computationally intensive, so to move forward in this realm, the PS5 Pro is said to offer 2 to 3 times the ray tracing capabilities, with, in some cases, it's even having the potential to present quadruple the ray tracing than the base PS5. Remember when we used to only worry about how many bits a console had? The good old days, eh? But if we are going to put a heavy emphasis on anything spec related in 2024, perhaps we should be focusing on the teraflops that a particular piece of hardware is capable of. A teraflop is a unit of computing speed equal to 1 trillion floating point operations per second. It's commonly used to measure the computational power of a computer or other computational device. The term flop refers to a mathematical operation involving numbers with decimal points, floating point numbers, with tera being the prefix denoting 1 trillion. So 1 teraflop means the ability to perform 1 trillion floating point operations per second. Acting in a way as the modern equivalent of bits, considering that flops point to power, the original PS5 is capable of just over 10 teraflops. That's right, 10 trillion flops. That's more flops than even Disney has had recently with their terrible movies. But nothing compared to what the PS5 Pro is going to bring to the table, apparently. Capable of a 33.5 teraflops, essentially the PS5 Pro is going to be over 3 times as powerful as the original PS5. In addition to this, it is also said that the PS5 Pro will contain something known as the PSSR, standing for PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution Upscaling. To explain this simply, upscaling and anti-aliasing are key techniques in gaming graphics aimed at enhancing visual quality. Upscaling involves increasing the resolution of a game's graphics output to match that of the display device, refining the sharpness and clarity of visuals, especially on high-resolution screens. On the other hand, anti-aliasing addresses the issue of jagged edges, or jaggies, in graphics by blending pixel colours along with object edges, resulting in smoother transitions and more natural-looking curves and lines. Together, these techniques work to improve the overall visual fidelity and immersion of gaming environments, contributing to a more realistic and polished gaming experience. So essentially, this technology is to be included to refine further the graphics that the PS5 Pro will be capable of. Now, if you own a PS5, you might have noticed that there is an 8K logo on the box, which in a way is slightly deceiving. The reality is that the PS5 itself doesn't produce 8K graphics, although it is feasible to enjoy 8K visuals by connecting it to a compatible 8K television. Auto upscaling enables the attainment of 8K gaming visuals this way. However, it's not a true 8K console. However, the PS5 Pro looks to bring with it truer 8K gameplay. Specs in the leaked document would outline that there are plans for the system to support resolution up to 8K with future software development kits. If the leaks are to be believed, they also indicate that the PS5 Pro will have a custom machine learning architecture, potentially encompassing a problem-specific design tailored to the game domain, selecting algorithms ranging from traditional machine learning to deep learning techniques like convolutional neural networks for optimizing gaming experiences, ultimately enhancing gaming experiences through tailored machine learning advancements. It's also listed that the PS5 Pro will contain an AI accelerator supporting 300 TOPS of 8-bit computation / 67 teraflops of 16-bit floating point.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
This apparently denotes the computational capabilities of a specialized hardware accelerator tailored for artificial intelligence tasks. TOPS, standing for trillion operations per second, is a measure of the number of operations a system can perform in 1 second, expressed in trillions of operations. In the context of the PS5 Pro, the 8-bit computation bit refers to operations performed using 8-bit integers, which are commonly used in neural network calculations. So pair this with the ability to execute 67 trillion floating point operations per second using 16-bit floating point numbers. God, this is a lot of jargon. Then it means that these metrics provide insights into the accelerator's processing power and its aptness for various AI applications, emphasizing its efficiency in handling both integer-based and floating point operations essential for neural network computations. Despite all of these changes to the GPU we've just talked about, the hardware CPU is said to be exactly the same as with a standard PS5, but with an additional high CPU frequency mode offering a 10% increase over the original model. In terms of sound, the PlayStation 5 Pro's enhancement ACV operates at a higher clock speed compared to the standard PlayStation 5, leading to a 35% boost in performance for the ACM library. Consequently, the system can process more convolutional reverbs and execute more FFT or IFFT operations efficiently. To explain this nerd jargon, FFT standing for fast Fourier transform and IFFT standing for inverse fast Fourier transform are mathematical algorithms used to transform signals between the time domain and the frequency domain. These operations are commonly used in various fields, including signal processing, communications, audio processing, image processing, and many others. However, if not much of this waffle has sunk in, to put it simply, the PS5 Pro is bloody powerful, but is this power any of us actually need? Well, I for one am completely happy with my PlayStation 5 at present and have no desire to need to own anything more powerful at the moment, as the system seems completely capable of being able to handle its library to a high standard. It's not like the PS4 a decade ago, which was fraught with disgustingly long loading times that caused us to waste hours of our lives regularly. The PS5 seems to run great, so why fix what isn't broken? I guess things could potentially change down the line if developers start producing their games to cater more towards this beastly hardware, but at this point, that seems unlikely to me when the base PS5 already has a happy and engaged active fanbase. I mean, come on, the PS5 isn't the Nintendo Switch, hardware that is dated and in desperate need of a refresh. Apart from it not feeling like there is a demand for change at present, I feel like the world has changed drastically since the release of the PS4 Pro and even the PS5 itself. Away from the United States and in countries where we don't have natural resources in abundance, the cost of living has become shockingly high, way past any other point I have experienced in my life. So with a knock-on effect from this causing the prices of literally everything to fly through the roof, the average consumer is looking to cut back at present, in my opinion, making the release of the PlayStation 5 Pro even more questionable. But then again, maybe I'm looking at this situation through a very European eye, with those who live in the richest country in the world, the United States, perhaps remaining a lot more frivolous than the rest of us. As far as I'm aware, since the Ukraine war, the gap between disposable income between the average American and those who live in the rest of the West has been at an all-time high in my life. So maybe the PS5 Pro is a lot more appealing to Americans than it would be to everyone else right now. With that said, comment below whether you plan to get one soon or not, and be sure to let us know which country you reside in for the extra context. Also, if you are like most of us Europeans and are looking to make as many savings as possible right now, don't forget to use my instant gaming links in the pinned comments to grab a gaming bargain right now. Lots of amazing deals await you. See you soon.